Alright, first step is I went and took a file and I scribed some lines on these rings. 2 here, 1 there. You can use whatever, but they're marked. And how it's important is when we start lapping and take it off and clean and check, we want to make sure we're putting the rings on the front and back the same place. Okay, so we got them marked, and then I'm going to work on these a little more and I'll show you what I'm going to do to them. So we'll remove the rings, gotta get off of the base. Okay, the next step is we're going to take the bases off. And we got our torque screwdriver, and we're just going to remove these. These are not Loctited in or anything. So we'll just back this up. And just remember, they were mounted here and here in these grooves. And this is the way it is. So keep everything in line and keep track. In other words, put the rear base back the same way and the front base. So just keep track of that. And as we remove these screws and take the base off, there is oil and gunk and everything there. So we're going to clean this off with alcohol or solvent. And then we're going to remount the bases with Loctite and mount them down. Alright, we got everything cleaned. Now it's time to set and torque down the bases. I went on a website and checked, and it depends on the manufacturer and everything. The inch pounds you should set this wrench for tightening down the base screws is anywhere, and it was from Brownells. It's done by the manufacturers, and it's anywhere from 68 inch pounds to 25. So what I'm going to do is take this, and this is how you set this. You pull the base out and turn it. I'm going to go with 40 inch pounds. Okay, kind of in the middle. So we put our bases back on where they go, and I'm going to use this thread locker that came with the kit. I don't know what it is. It's purple, so it's not your standard Loctite red or blue. And yep, of course it's got to start with me. Alright, put the screw on there, put a drop of this thread lock on there, glob of it, whatever. And now Loctite doesn't set for, it's a while before it'll set, so it's not like super glue, it sets in 15 seconds. You got time, so don't get in a hurry or rush. Get our other one, get a drop on there, or whatever. You want to cooperate. Kind of run them down close. They should line up as you go. Any excess Loctite wipe off. Yeah, that's lined up and good. Then you just take your torque wrench till you hear the click. That means it's torqued down to 40 inch pounds. Okay, we got our one base set. Take your rag, have rags, alcohol in that, because this stuff, even if you do wipe it, it'll dry. You want to have a little bit of solvent on there, and then clean it up. So that's our one base, and the other base, same thing. So I'll go until I get, then we'll go on to the next step. I ain't going to show you mountains, it's the same thing. Okay, next step, take our mounts, our rings, and we take the screws out. Now you see I got the 2 hash marks there. That way I know the orientation and where to reline them up. Now what we're going to do is a look at this, the surface there. What we're going to do when we lap this is we're going to remove material from, the inside of the ring. So that may drop this down. If you remove too much, then when your mount, your rings are closed, if you remove too much, it still won't grab right. So what I'm going to do is put these in a vise, and I'm going to hit these areas. What I would have done is taken them to work and milled 10 thousandths off of this surface to give me more room when we clamp. But since I don't have the time to run it to work, I'm going to go and hit this with a file and clean these surfaces up here and take a little material off to give me more room to clamp down as we remount or hone out the rings. Okay, while I was filing there, you can see these surfaces weren't flat or square whatsoever. And all I'm doing is dressing them up with a file, knocking off the burrs and trying to get 2 flat points. You don't want to get too aggressive. I guess enough just to clean them up straight would be fine. You don't want to take too much material off because there's only like an 1/8 inch or so where the base of the bolts come down. So just clean up that surface on the rings and then we'll move on. Okay, now we're going to mount the ring base. Here we have our ring base. And if you look, there's a little bar in the bottom. Well, that bar goes into one of these grooves. Okay? And also, if you look at the little clamp there, this piece, there's a larger one, and then it only goes one way. So what I'm going to do is take the nut off, take the little clamping bar out, and set this, hook it in, set it on the rifle. Then make sure your orientation is correct with the larger thing at the top. Push on it, set that in there. Now we're going to take a little bit of our Loctite, put it on the screw. Okay. Take the round thing, kind of hang on to it, and then thread that in there till it draws up some. And check it, make sure it all looks good. That isn't quite. Okay. Okay, once you got everything all lined up good in that, loosen it up, push down on it, push forward a little, because the recoil is going to drive it forward. And then tighten her down. Check it again, make sure it looks kind of okay. It's grabbing all right. Now, again, for the torque for tightening these goes anywhere from 68 to 25. So I'm going to keep it set at 40. Use my screwdriver head and just take it till I torque it in at 40 inch pounds. Okay? And again, I got my 1 notch. To remind me, these are marked. That's the forward set of rings. 2 notches goes back here. Again, on the rearward thing, do the same thing for the back, and we'll get ready to start lapping out the rings.